So, as I said, this is about focusing on you. And as leaders, we are often asked by our team for the answers, particularly, at the moment where our team members, our colleagues, our family, our friends are going through an awful lot of disruption, very, very difficult times. So many of us, when we're in leadership roles, whether it's in our community, in our family, or whether it's at work, we're having to give all the time. And it's really important to actually pause and make sure that you are putting some time in for yourself, that you're, as well as being kind to your colleagues, your friends, your family, and your community, that you're also being kind to yourself. And it's really important actually to acknowledge where you are in terms of your emotional and mental well-being. Part of mental well-being is around being able to speak up and vocalize about where you are, and making sure that you are really acknowledging how you're showing up on that hour, on that day, on that week, or on that month. Because talking to clients and colleagues, as we were preparing for this white paper and then this webinar here, we can find it can change almost on an hourly basis. You might wake up full of the joys of spring, and then by 11 o'clock, your energy mood has dipped as well. But it may end up coming back again at 4 o'clock that afternoon. So going on that roller coaster and being able to really kind of vocalize it out loud is important. It's about making sure that you just not only focus on the external, like what's happening out there in the news, but also you focus on the internal, what's happening inside here in your heart, in your body, and in your mind. And always looking towards the light, always looking to find a chink of light in the darkness. That idea of standing in the rain is the only way you can see the rainbow absolutely resonates there. So on the next slide, you'll see a little bit of a practice that I'd like us to reflect upon. And this is really about recognizing that you're a human being. As I said earlier on, just because you've got a manager or team leader responsibilities doesn't mean you're invincible. In our personal life, I've experienced friends who've lost their jobs. I've got friends at the moment whose parents have got COVID-19. You are under all sorts of pressures, and all of those things are going to affect you. But as I said, part of the practice of good mental health is about being honest around your emotions and not bottling them up. And you may not be able to articulate them to other people, but you can notice, acknowledge, and articulate them to yourself. And by being kind and recognizing that you've had a bad day every now and then, know that everyone else does. No one has gone through this without having a bad day. I remember I was sick a little while ago, and I said to Joe, I can't be sick. I can't be seen to be weak. I'm the CEO. And he was like, you know what, actually, the CEO of Great Britain, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, he was sick. CEO of America, the president, current president, he was sick. People get sick, leaders get sick. You have to just go away and get well for your team and for your client. It was good advice. And with that, I started to say, okay, when a bad day comes along or a bad few hours, in terms of articulating it out loud, I actually now say, this is a bad day. I've just had a bad Zoom call. I've just had a bad Teams meeting. And for me, it means I can own that as opposed to it owning me. Once I articulate it, I put it out there as something I can almost look at, observe, compartmentalize, and then mentally just push it away. So that helps me to be able to call out loud, name it, and then control when bad things happen, when a bad meeting or a bad day happens. And also reminding myself, I'm not the only person. The fact that we've had to run this webinar twice because so many people want to talk about this topic. What I do on bad days is I make sure I'm very selective over the tasks that I do. I don't spend hours going through our P&L. I don't try and pitch for a new piece of business. I do things that I like. I go to that reading pile that I've been meaning to read for so long. I maybe do something in terms of staff development or some personal development, making sure that I tackle things that I find more enjoyable than others. And I also take time out. I have never been the sort of person who went to have a lie down for 15 minutes during the day, but I'm doing that now. And I've been encouraged by one of my team who sometimes through the day goes and has a Pilates class. And that's almost given me permission to take a little bit of time out when I've needed to as well. Talking about controlling what's inside and what's outside, I really would advise you not to stay too focused on the news. We had a member of our team talk to us about her mental well-being. And one of the things that I discovered when we were having a supportive conversation around it is that she's become really fixated with the news. So the news is on constantly, even in her bedroom at night. And so I would really counsel you to be selective around the news. And instead of spending your time watching the Channel 4 news, call a friend. Don't text them, call a friend. Take a bath rather than watch the news. Go and get to bed early. I mean, by 9 o'clock, I'm starting to head up the stairs, thinking about those things that are kind to you rather than will give you or take your energy and distress you. And when the world does feel black, just remind yourself, where can you find the color? And this is about seeking out those moments of joy with a favorite snack or a long bath, looking for the color. One of the things that I do if I've had a bad phone call or a bad meeting is I go outside and I look at my garden and I look at the fact that, you know, there's a bit of color left. One of my key successes, Joe, is that in April, I planted some sweet peas, okay, literally in the seeds, and they were left by the boiler in our house. And they're still there today. There's a few of them. Yeah, exactly. So I thought, I set myself a goal that those sweet peas are going to last until the 1st of November. Well, my goodness, we're here on the 4th of November and they're still here. And I go out when I have a bad Zoom call and I go and I look at the purples and the yellows and the reds and the pinks of the sweet peas and just try and find the color, to take a moment to do those small things that nurture and are kind to me. So in this reflection, I want you to have a think around what could you do to be kind to yourself? And Joe introduced the term micro habits right at the very beginning. This isn't necessarily about saying I'm going to do the couch to 5K. I've got a client who gets up at 6:30 every morning and does a personal training session online. That's fantastic for her. If I tried to do that, I know that I wouldn't do it consistently. And then actually the mechanisms that I'm putting in place to protect my well-being would end up being a stick to beat me. So what can you do? Those small things, whether it's focusing on cooking, I'm making oat cakes this weekend, things that you can do that give you joy and can take care of you. And when you do this practice after today, also think about what are the things that's stopping you from taking care of yourself, whether it's constantly watching the news or making sure, or saying I've got to do all my catch-ups with my friends in the evenings. I've made a deliberate decision that I can't, by the end of the day, spend the evening then on calls to people. I'm really selective about how much energy I give away in the evenings so that I can refuel and make sure I'm on point for my clients and my team the next day. And I have most of my catch-up with my friends on the phone at the weekends now.